So the first thing we do before we can install the window is we have to prep the rough opening. And quite often we sheathe right over our openings just in an effort to keep water out of our building during construction. Once the windows arrive, we set up our router and we cut the opening out. We like to use a panel pilot bit. It's not the most expensive bit out there, and in fact this doesn't even cut the fastest, but it is budget friendly, and at $20 a pop, if I hit a nail head, I don't care. And sometimes a router will leave a very sharp edge, so I like to use anything I can to soften the edge. So any hard object, like the shaft of your hammer, just rub it along, just soften that edge. Then the next thing we want to concern ourselves with is air. Now, we already had a zip inside the rough opening, but we weren't able to tie our air control layer from outboard to inboard till we cut it out. So then you can see I have some seam tape down here that just looks after that air control layer that I'm not going to be able to get to once our slope sill or our bevel siding is in place. We like to use a slope sill in conjunction with a back dam so that if something happens to the window in 5 years, 10 years, 25 years, and the window leaks, that in a high wind event, we'll never see water come into the building. It will always be able to escape to the exterior. So we always use bevel siding to create our slope sills. And the reason we do that is because this is a repeatable step for us. Whether it's new construction or renovation, the process is the same. We will rip a piece of bevel siding to the width we need, and it varies by window. In this case, we're using a chunk that's 3.5 inches wide, and we're utilizing the scrap from that bevel siding to create our back dam. Our next step will be to make our sill pan. We're going to use a zip stretch tape, obviously cover the entire pan, and we'll run it up the side. Then we're going to detail the rest of the opening for air and water. All right, before I actually install this, I like to check the release paper to make sure that it is actually split. Sometimes from the factory, you'll see that the tape is actually still joined in a spot. And if you're halfway through your install and the release paper rips on you, it can be problematic. So a window this size, I usually put my tape on in sections. We want to be somewhere between 6 and 8 inches up the side. So I will start with releasing the tape from the paper, and we'll just get this wiggled into place. Another pro tip, don't have it all the way out, especially in a windy condition, because if wind grabs that, it will pull it down onto the ground on you. So this is a tuck. This one happens to be from a company called Quick Flash, but it's modeled after an actual carpet tool. So window this size, I don't like to take all of it out or all the release paper off. I get my corner set, bring my tuck in. This tool is actually modeled or is based on a tool from the carpet industry called a carpet tuck. But I literally, even though I've got a little bit of a pucker right there, I don't think I've installed a tape flashing in a window without one for a very long time. You can use other tools to get this in nice and tight, but this is like a must-have in my toolbox. When we use stretch tape to form our sills, I always like to make sure that the stretch tape at least comes inboard far enough to cover the top edge of our back dam. Get that down into the corner. And you want to pull your stretch tape out, but you don't want to overstretch it. Now I've got more tape than I need here, and we'll cut that off in a second. Whatever rolls out outboard, doesn't matter exactly how much it is as long as I have at least 3 inches. I want to be able to see it below the flange of the window. So I will say the larger the window opening, the harder it is to do in one continuous piece. So if you're a little oversized and you end up with a little extra pucker, as long as you don't actually need it to form your sill pan, you cut it off and you still look like a pro. Not horrible. Now we just need to roll the tape. It is very important to roll the tape. Most flashing tapes, including Zip Stretch, are a pressure sensitive adhesive. So when you apply pressure, think of it like you're warming up the glue, and it starts to flow into all the microsurfaces, in this case, of the zip board. And if you look really close at the face of the surface, it's not smooth. So you want to get that adhesive down into all those little microsurfaces and just create a bond. And if you roll a large window, you should actually be sweating. You want to actually apply pressure. You can actually see it transfer through when you apply pressure. All right, get that tuck in there a little bit more. Not quite warm enough today to get that to stay. And now we have a beautiful watertight pan. I think that's an important distinction that we note, is that there is a difference between a sill flashing and a sill pan. A sill flashing, you've just got flashing tape in the way. To make an actual pan, you need some form of back dam, whether you have a physical back dam or you use like rod and caulk after the fact, and it needs to roll up the side. If you don't have that, you just have a sill flashing. I am very happy with this, so let's get this detailed for air and water for the rest of the opening. In order to maintain the control layers, we pull the zip sheathing inboard so that we can tie it into our window. A lot of these acrylic adhesive tapes are self-terminating. I don't like to mess with physics, so whenever possible, we will shingle lap all of our tapes. Obviously, we have this opening, and the air control layer is interrupted by that. The only way that we can make a continuous air control layer is to join the window to our sheathing. So by pulling the zip inboard, once the window is in place, we can actually seal the window to this buck or this opening. And you can see here that we've got a splayed opening. Now, right now, we don't have the full depth of wall visible. We actually have another 3.5 inches of service cavity being built inside this, and there's an additional 4 inches of exterior insulation. And the reason we wanted to splay these openings is when you were standing inside, we didn't want you to feel like you were looking out through a tunnel or looking out through a cave, or have it appear as though the natural light was coming in through a tunnel or into a cave entrance. We wanted more light to come in. We wanted improved sight lines. With the window mounted in a 12-inch wall and then having additional exterior insulation, we're looking at, roughly a 15-inch outside of sheathing to inside of finished material. All right, our air control layer is complete. We've brought it from outside into the opening. Now when the window gets installed, we can continue our air control layer from outside, inside, across the window opening, and just maintain that continuity. Next, we got to get a window out of a box and make sure that it is actually the correct size to fit the opening. Even though we've measured everything ahead, it's always a good idea just to double check your rough opening, double check your window before you actually get it up here to install. All right, this is a real job site, so we're gonna move on to the next rough opening because it doesn't make sense to stop, install one window. We're gonna keep moving, do this systematically. It is rinse and repeat, folks. So we're going to router the opening. We're gonna soften the edges. We're gonna look after the air control layer. We're gonna look after water control, slope sill, back dam, get our shims ready to go. And as soon as it makes sense, and we've got a little bit of a system going, we'll start putting some windows in the holes.